Learning the life story of Prophet Muhammad P.B. is a journey that transforms the heart, mind, and soul, because his life is not just a historical account, but a timeless guide for humanity. Born in Mecca in 570 CE, orphaned at a young age, and raised with honesty, humility, and integrity, Prophet Muhammad P.B. grew up known as Al-Amin, the trustworthy, long before prophethood. His early life teaches patience through hardship, dignity in poverty, and moral excellence in a society deeply rooted in injustice, tribal pride, and idol worship. When revelation first came to him at the age of 40 in the cave of Hira, it marked the beginning of a mission that would change the course of history, calling people toward the oneness of Allah, justice, compassion, and accountability. Despite facing relentless persecution, mockery, boycotts, physical abuse, and emotional pain, he never responded with hatred or revenge, but with forgiveness, wisdom, and steadfast faith. His migration Hira from Mecca to Medina was not an escape, but a strategic and spiritual turning point, laying the foundation of a society built on brotherhood, equality, and law, where the rich and poor, Arab and non-Arab, slave and free stood equal before Allah. As a leader, he was just. As a judge, he was fair. As a teacher, he was gentle. As a husband, he was loving. As a father, he was compassionate. And as a friend, he was loyal. He lived simply despite having access to wealth, slept on a mat that left marks on his body, mended his own clothes, and never considered himself above others. In times of war, he set rules of mercy, forbidding harm to civilians, women, children, and even trees, showing that Islam values life and dignity even in conflict. His patience at Taif, where he was stoned and bled yet prayed for the guidance of his attackers, remains one of the greatest lessons in mercy the world has ever witnessed. The conquest of Mecca stands as a powerful example of forgiveness, where he forgave those who tortured, exiled, and attempted to kill him, declaring, "No blame upon you today." His final sermon summarized the essence of Islam: human equality, the sanctity of life and property, the rights of women, justice, and adherence to the Quran and Sunnah. Prophet Muhammad P.B. did not leave behind palaces or wealth, but a legacy of character, ethics, and guidance that continues to shape billions of lives today. Learning his life story teaches us how to handle success without arrogance, hardship without despair, power without oppression, and faith without hypocrisy. It shows us how to balance spirituality with daily life, how to be kind in a harsh world, truthful in a deceptive society, and hopeful in times of darkness. His Seerah is not confined to the past. It is a living roadmap for personal growth, social harmony, and inner peace. To learn about Prophet Muhammad P.B. is to learn how to become a better human being, one who walks with humility, speaks with wisdom, acts with justice, and lives with purpose, remembering that true success lies not in fame or power, but in pleasing Allah and serving humanity. Continuing the life story of Prophet Muhammad P.B., we see that his mission was not limited to preaching faith alone, but to nurturing complete human beings and a balanced society rooted in moral responsibility and spiritual awareness. In Medina, he established the first Islamic state not through force, but through consultation, mutual respect, and clear principles, drafting the Charter of Medina, which guaranteed rights, security, and religious freedom to Muslims and non-Muslims alike, proving that coexistence and justice are central to Islam. His leadership was marked by Shura consultation, where even companions were encouraged to voice their opinions, showing that authority in Islam is guided by wisdom, not ego. Prophet Muhammad P.B. emphasized education, encouraging the pursuit of knowledge for both men and women, freeing prisoners of war in exchange for teaching literacy, and nurturing a generation that would carry knowledge across the world. His character shone brightest in personal dealings. He listened attentively, spoke gently, never humiliated anyone, and always chose ease over hardship for others. He reminded his followers that the strongest person is not one who overpowers others, but one who controls anger, teaching emotional intelligence centuries before it became a concept. His nights were filled with prayer, tears, and supplication for his Amma, carrying the burden of humanity on his shoulders while living among them as one of them. Even toward animals he showed mercy, forbidding cruelty and reminding people that kindness to every living being is rewarded. As Islam spread across Arabia, he remained humble, entering Mecca with his head lowered in gratitude to Allah, not in pride or triumph. His final days reflected the same humility and devotion that defined his life, as he emphasized prayer, justice, and care for the vulnerable, reminding his followers to hold firmly to faith and good character. When he passed away, the world lost a man, but humanity gained an eternal example, one whose teachings continue to guide hearts across cultures, languages, and generations. Studying the later years of Prophet Muhammad's life deepens our understanding that true leadership is service. True strength is mercy, and true success lies in obedience to Allah and compassion toward His creation. His Seerah teaches us that change begins within, that patience transforms pain into purpose, and that sincere faith, when lived with integrity, has the power to illuminate even the darkest corners of the world. In the third part of learning the life story of Prophet Muhammad we reflect on how his message continues to live beyond his lifetime, shaping hearts, civilizations, and moral values across centuries. After laying the foundations of faith, justice, and unity, he prepared his companions not just to follow Islam, but to live it with sincerity, wisdom, and responsibility. He instilled in them deep consciousness of Allah Taqwa, teaching that actions are judged by intentions and that true honor comes from righteousness, not lineage or status. The Prophet emphasized accountability, reminding people that every word spoken, every trust held, and every life touched carries weight in the sight of Allah. His emphasis on honesty in trade, fairness in dealings, and fulfillment of promises transformed a society once plagued by corruption into one guided by moral discipline. He nurtured leaders who were humble, judges who were just, and warriors who were restrained by mercy, ensuring that Islam would spread through character as much as through words. Even in moments of farewell, he focused not on himself but on the Ummah, warning against injustice, arrogance, and division, and urging unity upon the Quran and his Sunnah. The legacy he left behind was preserved not in monuments, but in lives changed, men and women who carried his teachings to distant lands, spreading Islam through compassion, patience, and ethical conduct. His Seerah continues to serve as a mirror for self-reflection, asking each generation how they treat the weak, how they respond to opposition, and how sincerely they worship Allah. Learning this part of his life reminds us that following Prophet Muhammad is not limited to rituals, but reflected in honesty, humility, kindness, and responsibility in everyday life. His message remains relevant in a world struggling with injustice, hatred, and moral confusion, offering a path of balance, mercy, and purpose. To study his life deeply is to realize that his mission was not only to deliver revelation, but to cultivate hearts that live by truth, serve humanity, and strive for excellence in both faith and character until the end of time. In the fourth part of learning the life story of Prophet Muhammad we come to understand how his Seerah serves as a complete and enduring framework for personal reform and global harmony. His teachings addressed every dimension of human life, spiritual, social, economic, and moral, guiding people on how to live with balance in a world of extremes. He taught moderation in worship, reminding followers that faith should bring ease, not hardship, and that Allah loves consistency over excess. His emphasis on sincerity purified actions from showing off, making worship a private connection between the servant and the Creator. Prophet Muhammad consistently warned against injustice, oppression, and arrogance, teaching that even a single act of wrongdoing can darken the heart, while a small act of kindness can weigh heavily on the scale of good deeds. He elevated the status of women at a time when they were denied dignity, granting them rights to inheritance, consent, education, and respect, and he declared that the best among men are those best to their families. His concern for the poor, orphans, widows, and travelers reflected a deep social consciousness, making care for the vulnerable a sign of true faith. He reminded people that this world is temporary, a place of testing, and that real success lies in the hereafter. Yet he never encouraged withdrawal from society, instead teaching engagement with integrity and responsibility. Even after his passing, his words, actions, and silent approvals continued to guide the Ummah through the preserved Quran and authentic Sunnah, offering clarity in times of confusion. Studying this final dimension of his life helps us realize that the love for Prophet Muhammad PBUH is proven not by words alone, but by embodying his character, speaking truth, showing mercy, upholding justice, and remaining humble before Allah. His life story ultimately teaches that transformation begins with the heart, grows through character, and reflects in actions that benefit all of humanity, making his Seerah an everlasting light for anyone seeking meaning, peace, and purpose in both this life and the next. In the fifth part of learning the life story of Prophet Muhammad PBUH, we reflect on how his Seerah calls every believer to self-accountability and lifelong spiritual growth. He taught that faith is not a one-time declaration, but a continuous journey of purification, repentance, and renewal of intention. Prophet Muhammad PBUH encouraged deep self-reflection, reminding people to examine their hearts before judging others, and to correct their own flaws before pointing out the faults of society. His teachings emphasized patience during trials, gratitude during ease, and trust in Allah during uncertainty, showing that inner peace comes from reliance on the Creator rather than control over circumstances. He warned against hypocrisy, pride, and hard-heartedness, teaching that arrogance can nullify good deeds while humility elevates even the simplest acts. The Prophet PBUH also prepared the Ummah for times of change and difficulty, reminding them that tests are a sign of faith and that Allah never burdens a soul beyond what it can bear. He instilled hope by teaching that Allah's mercy outweighs his wrath, that sincere repentance wipes away sins, and that no one is ever too far from divine forgiveness. His concern for future generations was evident in his emphasis on passing knowledge responsibly, raising children with faith and character, and maintaining unity despite differences. Learning this part of his life shows us that following Prophet Muhammad PBUH means striving daily to improve our relationship with Allah and our conduct with people, even when no one is watching. His Seerah ultimately reminds us that true success is not measured by status, wealth, or power, but by the state of the heart at the moment we return to Allah, carrying a legacy of sincerity, mercy, and service to humanity.